Today on
Doomed!
I'm doing it. This episode of the show, I'm doing it. I've said many times at the beginning of many live streams that this show is going to be a call-in show. I'm going to give all the listeners plenty of time to call in because there's always so many calls in the second half of the show after I go on for an hour and a half in the first half of the show, breaking something down or doing a long-form interview with a guest. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a call-in show today. And then I still go on for 45 minutes for an hour. 45 minutes to an hour, I should say, talking about who knows what. But today I am doing it. I'm forcing myself to do it. And part of the reason I'm forcing myself to do it is because I am feeling extremely tired and my allergies are insane. And I was running around today because the kids had stuff to do today. Soccer practice, to take my daughter to the grandma's while I do the soccer practice with my son because my wife had to go to the doctor. So I was all over the place. And on top of that, listen, we got super lucky last week. Because I did the show on Wednesday, breaking down what was going on the college campuses with the police and all the lies about what was happening at these pro-Palestine protests. We did that episode. And the next day, I did the majority report. Not even a full next day. Like 12 hours later, I'm doing the majority report. And then 8 hours after that, I'm doing Leftist Mafia. And then literally just as I finished Leftist Mafia last week, my eyes started really bothering me. Like my allergies were already bothering me on that episode. You might have seen me really struggling with my allergies. But right after, really bad. And then the next morning I woke up and my eye was completely swollen. It was like huge. It was like insane. I've never had that happen before. I could barely open it. There was just mucus and all sorts of phlegm and disgustingness coming out of my eye. I could barely see out of it. And I didn't know if I'd be able to do a show because it was bad for a few days. And it cleared up. And I'm still feeling it. It felt like it was about to spread to my other eye, but it never fully did. So here I am. And you can barely tell now. I look completely fine in terms of how my eyes look. Like this eye was huge. It was all red, like just completely red inside. Just the eyelid was all gigantic. I looked like the hills have eyes or something. And I'm sure you all wanted to know all this extremely detailed information. Yeah, describe it in detail, Matt. Yes, I've given it to you straight up. But I wasn't sure if I was going to do a show this week. I was feeling good, but then I had all these things happen. There was the last minute stuff with the kids and the doctor. But I'm like, you know what? It's a Wednesday. I've been promising a call-in show, and I never delivered because I always have something I want to talk about. This week, I am forced to do a call-in show. So, the phone lines are open, folks. You can open up Skype, search Doomed Live, and I did get a haircut. I got a haircut right before, like literally, did the shows last Thursday. Woke up, my eye was pretty bad, but it was still doable. Got a haircut, and then a few hours after that haircut, it was just like, it was completely shut. It was done. Your mom says use different tissue for your schnoz than your eyes. I don't, trust me, I haven't been that, my nose hasn't been that bad. It's been everything else. I get really bad nasal drip. So like, there's nothing in my nose to blow. It's all coming out my mouth. There's that very detailed information. All right, we got calls coming in. Let's do this. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's going on, man?
Hey, it's Hansi. How you doing, Hansi?
I'm good, man. How are
What's
you?
up? I'm doing good. What was it to talk about?
I don't know, man. What's it called? Have you been there's way more important issues than to talk about, but this dominated. I always find it I know whenever I go on a theory, you've gone to the habit now. I just personal theory that you've been talked to about if Hansy goes off on some theories, kind of just
No, let's do
downplay it,
it. Go
don't
ahead. Listen. We got. You're the first person to call in. I'm starting calls earlier than usual because I want to give everyone lots of time. The past couple of weeks, there's been like 10 callers each night. I've had to say sorry next time. So we got plenty of time. Give people a
all right, well,
chance to call in. So go ahead.
have you been keeping up with this Drake and Kendrick beef?
I know nothing. So why don't you actually? I've been seeing. I mean, it's impossible to not see it.
Okay,
See
so
it, but I know
okay,
nothing. Like,
so
listen, I know nothing about these guys. I know Kendrick Lamar is a high. This is not my genre of music. I'm not anti it. I'm just it's not my thing. So if I hear a good song, I'm like, oh, that's a good song. Otherwise, I don't really listen to it. I do know that Kendrick Lamar is like considered to be the best of the best. He's highly respected. I do know Drake has a lot of haters, and a lot of accusations being thrown his way. Break it down for me, Hansi.
I'm gonna do it differently than how other people do it because I find people who are I feel like a lot of people who are doing content on it, like the ones that are like really connected with it, who have like a dog in the race. I feel like they buy into the kayfabe of it. So in wrestling terms, Drake is like John Cena, who has gotten a good run in hip hop, even though like people don't think he like in wrestling terms he's not the best work rate guy as John Cena. But when you put him in the ring with somebody that is like an indie darling like a Pusha T or Kendrick Lamar, Drake can show Drake can show you what his work
Sorry.
he can show you what his work rate is like. So he was basically on top as the guy like John Cena was during a time when it wasn't the most exciting as far as like the most like socially conscious stuff going on. People have always criticized him for because again he's half Jewish, half black. He doesn't really speak out on any social issues a lot of the time, whatever. So people have used that against him. Kendrick Lamar is more authentic to the streets and has covered a lot of social issues and all that kind of stuff. So it's like Drake this past weekend, after having a long decade run as a world champion, finally lost to Kendrick Lamar. And I personally think
How did
it's
it
like
start? That's what
design.
I haven't checked out yet. How did this start? Why did they start dropping songs about each other?
Okay, so like 10 years ago, there was a verse by this rapper named Big Sean. Named it was called Control. The album it was called the song was called Control. And on that album in 2013, and then on that song, Kendrick basically dominated that whole song, and it took basically Big Sean had to remove it from his album because the song got so much buzz because of what Kendrick did, and Kendrick basically called out all his peers in a competitive way and says, I don't want to be friends with all of you guys. I'm trying to make sure your career, like he's trying to end all your careers basically. So that throughout the next decade, to the next decade, there have been people who have like there's been like subliminals between Drake and Kendrick over like different music, like different albums and all that. They weren't like complete direct shots, but like they've been building as a pro wrestling way. They've been building this up, and then I guess it got restarted again because people think Big Sean, no, people think Drake. Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole are the big three mainstream big rappers that are the heavyweights, and they had a song called First Person Shooter. And what they called they talked about the big three basically. And then Kendrick on a Metro Booming and Futures album, he on the song called Like That, he goes, there isn't no big three, it's just big me. And he basically said this is time now to show that you're a problem. So basically J. Cole then dissed Kendrick on an EP, but I don't think he believed in the diss because he didn't believe in it. So he kind of bowed out a month or so ago, saying that he doesn't want to do any of this negative stuff, and people were shitting on him for apologizing in a rap beef. But knowing what came out afterwards with all these guys, it's like he made the smart decision to bow out because it got really, really ugly. So basically, then Drake came out with a song called Push Ups, talking about Kendrick being extorted. He doesn't have as much money as him. Basically you're getting extorted by your crew. And then he made a song called Tailor Made, which is supposed to be that Kendrick is appeasing Taylor Swift by not dropping his diss record because he's trying to be nice with her. So he called it Tailor Made, whatever. And basically he used Tupac AI and Snoop Dogg AI on that track. And on the Tupac AI, he's basically because Kendrick is like talking about having dreams and having Tupac giving him courage to like be a rapper and all that kind of shit, whatever. So it's like a big insult to for Kendrick for like a West Coast guy that's getting shit on by a Canadian, like mocking Tupac and all that. So then eventually, what's it called? Kendrick then released the fucking Euphoria album, Euphoria, which came out last week, and everyone was analyzing that. That was fucking cool. Everything was cool about that. Basically, he's talking about how Drake's a culture vulture. Nobody, he goes like basically he's talking about how Drake always feels he needs to be black enough by having guys like Rick Ross and other black rappers that are street credible do songs with them. And what they're called, you're still not black enough. And then he's talking about how he doesn't want to hear Drake saying the N word anymore because you're not a black guy, whatever. So it became a discourse. And then eventually, like late last week, Drake released. Oh, and he name dropped like a hot spot in Toronto called New Ho King, a Chinese restaurant, and what they're called. So like that got buzz as well, whatever. But like there's a bunch of stuff that he mentioned in this track. You gotta go over the diss songs later on, whatever. Like when you get a chance to. But then Drake released Family Matters, which was like making fun of a bunch of rappers, The Weeknd, Rick Ross.
And this is wait, so that one, when was that? That Drake one was dropped after Kendrick Lamar already released one of his songs about Drake.
Yeah, Euphoria.
Okay, so why would Drake, like, after getting owned by Kendrick Lamar apparently, why would he then go like, I'm gonna open up this beef to even more guys?
The thing is that Drake never really beefs with anybody, like in the sense that like he never really goes on the offense. So he was taunting these two tracks were taunting Kendrick to drop. Everyone was like, "Oh, if Kendrick doesn't drop, like I don't care when someone drops a diss record." Like people are like, "Oh, Kendrick's gonna drop a diss record when his album comes out." I'm like, so what? There's no timetable for when you can drop a diss. So basically this video is basically Drake. There's a van in Kendrick's first album, his first mainstream album, good city mad kid good city whatever I forget what it's called, good city mad kid. There's a van in it. Drake rents a van that looks like it and is crushing it in the video, and then he's in New Ho King, basically like just taunting Kendrick in that regard. He's talking about you want the Tupac ring, you want the Pharrell chain, come get it, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. You see him talking to a Hell's Angel guy, like you don't hear any dialogue. You see him talking, so they're hinting that they're gonna get violent with this shit. By the way, there has been some violence now already because the weekend security guard, the weekend's manager security guard was shot, and now Drake's security got shot, and now people are wondering about who was doing that, whatever. But then, okay, so what happened was, what's it called, in the Euphoria track, Kendrick said that he can predict what Drake's angles are going to be because he's going to go after his marriage and some of the issues that he has, basically, about maybe being a wife beater or something like that. You're going to spread lies about me. So Drake basically answered with that. And then not even an hour later, Kendrick came out with a song called Meet the Grams, where now he's writing a letter in this song to Drake's mother, to Drake's father, to Drake's son. And then the reveal is that Drake may have a hidden daughter because in the other beef, Pusha T was the one that revealed that Drake had a hidden son. So then, since then, Drake has now brought his son out in the discourse. So that became a whole fucking thing. And then there's like a whole thing about how he doesn't respect women. He, there's a lot of homophobic rhetoric as well. It mixed in with it, but like basically Drake's a misogynist. He might be sex trafficking. He might be a pedophile. He's warning LeBron James and Steph Curry, if you respect your kids, don't hang out with Drake and all that kind. Which is funny because Kendrick hangs out with Dr. Dre, who is like also a wife beater, and also Eminem, who like literally has done horrible things as well, right? So it's ironic, whatever. So then that came out, and then before Drake could even respond, then Kendrick came out because people accuse Kendrick because Drake stands are always like, oh, but can you play Kendrick's album in a club? Does he get the girls moving? Because he appeases the hardcore heads. So then he came in with a song called Not Like Us, where he basically reiterates the same disses, but he did it to a dancing beat. So now everybody on the street is dancing to a Kendrick Lamar diss calling Drake a pedophile, basically. And
That's
then
pretty funny.
basically that was like, you thought that was going to be the end of it. So then the Drake came out with a song called The Heart Part 6, which is supposed to be goofing on Kendrick's song, The Heart Part 4, where people thought that that was a subliminal diss to Drake back a couple of years ago. But in this one, what they call Drake's basically doing the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" method by going, okay, well, you're gonna accuse me of pedophilia. I'm gonna address it head on by saying, well, if I was really a pedophile, wouldn't I be arrested? Wouldn't I be? And he claims he sent the mole to give Kendrick false information about stuff, but people think he's just saving face. So people thought that Kendrick, because he released Meet the Grams an hour later, that what's it called, he had a mole inside OVO camp. But the thing is, Kendrick is calling all of OVO camp pedophiles and sex offenders. But if they're sex offenders, why do you have someone on your payroll giving you information? So that's how it all started out. And then now there's been a little bit of a breathing room right now. But in wrestling terms, bro, they turned this angle into an Attitude Era level storyline that I just got bored of by the time the weekend was done, basically.
And you mean the weekend as in the time of the week? We're not the
Yeah,
weekend
yeah,
isn't
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the weekend isn't involved in this too now, right?
Well, the weekend, because Drake tried to sign the weekend, like a decade ago,
Oh, so he
and
is involved.
so yeah, because Drake's throwing shots at
I
him
was just
too.
I was just cracking a joke.
No. He's also involved. Drake went at a lot of fucking people. So to me, but the way I look at it, okay, so that's the official version, right? But the way I look at it is that because I do believe the entertainment industry is run on fundamentalism, it's not a coincidence that they're using social issues about, pro Jewish and pro blackness as the angle. But like I do believe both of them are kind of compromised by fundamentalism. Because Kendrick's like disses, even though like there's some like good stuff that he's saying, some of the stuff that he says can come across as like anti-sex work and making it seem like because Drake might fucking, dance with women that he might be gay or something like that. So a lot of the hardcore people that like want, like who are more conservative of different communities are like kind of in a way backing like they think they think getting violent is keeping it real, but like if the industry is co-signing violence, in my personal opinion, then it's not really keeping it real. All you're doing, so to me it was basically a way for Drake to basically drop his title, and now Kendrick is like the new leader of the he has like now he's the world champion. He's beaten Drake. Like Drake is gonna like suffer now, and Kendrick is gonna now be able to like now rise up now even bigger than Drake, even though he's already big as is. You know what I mean?
So Drake was Roman Reigns, and
Well,
Kendrick
I
Lamar is Solo Sokoa.
no. Well, I mean, in this thing, he'd be Cody Rhodes in this situation.
Okay, all right, I
You
see.
know
All
what I mean?
right, yeah.
So that was dominating. But I see, but the thing is, I always notice that this stuff within hip hop, oh, because people, because because again, people are giving Macklemore, because Macklemore is like a
I
front
will say
follower.
I heard the Macklemore song,
Yeah.
And a lot of people were saying, over the years, like they were knocking him and saying how they wish he would mackle less. Well, after listening to that song, I gotta say I'm glad that he mackled more. I thought it was pretty. I mean, listen, it's not my style of music. Again, I don't know if he's technically like considered good with that in that genre. I know a lot of people don't think so, but I heard it and I thought it was good. I thought it was a good song. A lot. I feel like people could get corny when it comes to being, when it comes to talking about specific issues or politics or current events or things in songs. I'm not. I mean, and I'm someone who listens to a lot of political music, but it's easy to cross that line into getting corny, and I don't think he did. I think it was really good.
See, the thing with Macklemore is that people hate on him. See, the thing is, so again, because I look at this like pro wrestling, right? Every person, at least in hip hop, at least, if you're not a black person and you become like a rapper, like whether you're like a white guy especially, it's like the hip hop people who control like the storylines and that they always book the white rapper or like the white critic as the culture vulture. And again, I understand calling out culture vultures who want to profit and not add anything positive to the culture. But the thing is like the guys that they get goofed on are normally cogs in the game. Like this guy. I don't know. Have you heard of DJ Vlad?
Yes, I've heard of
Okay,
him.
so
Again, I don't. I have heard a lot of these people in passing. He's a guy who like drops a lot of like music videos, right? Like a lot of
no,
music
no, no,
videos
no.
premiere with him, or
He he does like a lot of those. Like he does like those interviews with like a person who's like canceled. Normally gets interviews with him, but
oh,
he'll
okay,
interview he'll interview a lot of mafia guys and a lot of
mafia
people
guys.
like old Italian type of dudes, whatever.
What
But
does that have to do
people
with? What does that have to do with? Well, I mean, it's not completely divorced, I guess.
no, no,
From
but he goes into different realms, right? But he also like people think that people think that he's Fed connected, and people do get in trouble whenever they go on his show. So people think that he's the one that supplies information, whatever. So what happened was
that'd be
in,
really
in
fun.
one
That'd be really. I just want to say that'd be really funny if that was the case.
in one of the songs, Kendrick was talking about like some of these culture vulture critics, whatever. And then Vlad playing the character that he plays starts going in on how the song is mixed, right? And then some professor from university just goes, "You're white. Your opinion doesn't matter." And then Vlad was like, "Oh, are you a teacher at this school? Well, I think I should contact your university and see how they feel about one of their professors being this kind of ignorant." And then people started calling him out, and then he backpedaled on it. But to me, it feels all gimmick because I believe like Vlad and all these guys, they're just cogs of people who are supposed to be playing the villains. So to me, I always notice that whenever something monumental happens in Palestine or Israel, the fundamentals that I believe control like the music business will always get like something in hip hop to go because like lately
But
nobody in hip hop.
can you? I think we're you're jumping ahead here. There's some people in the chat talking. Did you talk about these allegations against Drake? I don't think you've mentioned them.
Okay, well, I mean, there's been the allegations have been the allegations have been like stuff that's been building for a while, which is why I always believe that this stuff is kind of marketing. But for example, like he's had in like for example, people were giving him shit because he went on a dinner with Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things when she was like 13 or 14, and like
Yeah,
he has a tech.
it's a bit,
He's a tech.
it's a bit. Listen, I get that a movie star, a TV star, a film star, a Hollywood star, and that he's a famous musician. And if they were obviously like working on a project together, maybe they would, do that. Did they work on anything together? I don't think I
No, no,
recalled them.
I don't think so. But there's also been other
Then I think
incidents.
I do think it's kind of weird for a grown man to be
Yeah,
having
me too.
having lunch with a kid like that. You know.
But see, here's the thing. My issue is right, and I'm not expecting Kendrick to make a citizen's arrest. My issue is that either this whole thing has been like designed for Drake to like, because again, even if Drake gets proven to being someone that's doing shady shit, is anything nothing's gonna happen to the guy. In fact, whenever someone's getting canceled, I'll notice Elon Musk will start following that person. So Elon Musk started following Drake. So now people think that Elon Musk.
I saw that, but I checked. He also followed Kendrick Lamar. I think he was just trying to
Oh,
follow
okay,
the. He was just trying to
okay,
follow.
okay.
Listen, I'm the first to rag on Elon Musk, and it is funny that he followed him, but I think he also followed Kendrick too.
Okay. So then there's also some incident where he was groping on someone that at a concert one time in 2013 or 14, who may have been 16 or 17. So that often gets used to him as well. He's also had an incident where he had a Kendrick mentioned that he had to pay out 500,000 for an open case because some woman accused him of sexual assault, and this woman did a thing where so we don't know if Drake actually has a daughter, but it wouldn't surprise me if he actually does because that's how
See, I saw that. I don't really care so much about that stuff. Like, if he had a daughter and wanted to keep her quiet, I mean, he's a big star. I could understand that. I don't think that's
see
anyone's really
that
anyone,
see,
unless obviously he had a daughter with someone who that would have been illegal or inappropriate to have a daughter with.
yeah no,
Um, Otherwise, I
so
don't think it's an issue.
so the other thing is like that my main issue is that like everyone is pretending they give a shit. And I'm not saying like people in the media. Some of the people who cover this that are getting excited over like this guy DJ Academics has been, and the reason why it's important to know who he is because he's now been featured on Rumble. He gets funded by Peter Thiel. So he incorporates political stories, but like he's been the center of. And by the way, DJ Academics has also been accused of like, and
Hold
there's
on,
a
hold on,
video.
hold on, hold on. I just want to. Ryan Lennon fan says the accusation is that he's a deadbeat, not that he's hiding her. Oh, okay. If he's a deadbeat, then fuck him. I mean, the worst of the worst. Honestly, I think that's if that is the accusation, then fuck him. It's well deserved. Go Kendrick.
But hey, hold on. Don't be saying go Kendrick right now because Kendrick also has been accused. First of all, there has been no like um complete proof of it, but there's been some videos of interviews of women of different women who have claimed that like their friend was beaten up by Kendrick Lamar. So Kendrick Lamar isn't like a fucking saint either. Even though he's the better rapper and he's more credible, I get it. But if those the thing is, if he's aligned with Dr. Dre and he also wanted his music removed from Spotify when R. Kelly's music wanted to be removed. He gives shout out. He has Kodak Black and who's also very guilty of sexual abuse and violent shit towards women. So what I'm trying to say is, even though Kendrick right now is king shit, right now he aligns with people who are not really the most credible either. You know what I mean? So that's why I say all these people and this guy Metro Booming, who kind of started this beef a little bit, who got it jump started. He's a producer. He produced with Future, and Future. It seems like a lot of the beefs stem from different women that they had beef over, basically. But Metro Booming is a guy that was also like, oh, Drake's on some sicko shit. So now people are resurfacing Metro Booming's tweets from a couple of years ago where he's talking about I'm a pedophile, I'm a rapist. Like he's quoting lyrics or he's basically making jokes about being a rapist or a pedophile. The thing is like, I don't think that means you're guilty. As someone that used to be an edge lord, I used to follow the lead of other edge lords. I used to think that, oh, if I don't make these kind of jokes, that means that I won't be accepted in the cool comedy stuff, whatever. But I'm starting to notice that some of these people who make those kind of jokes that are in the industry, it's like they do some self admissions before getting caught. So that's why I look at it in an overall type of thing that's going on in the industry as a fucking whole. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, oh, and yeah. So Drake and his songs and these haven't been proven. So people just think Drake might be lying about these. but he's claiming that he's like, you want to pretend that you're a good father, and you want to pretend that like you're this role model citizen, but what's it called, you're having a baby with a half white chick. You haven't married your high school sweetheart that you have a kid with. You also beat her. The baby might not even be yours. It might be your manager's, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. That stuff hasn't been proven, whatever, but those are Drake's accusations basically on his songs, whatever, right? So that's what ended up happening there. So that's why I'm saying, to me, after this whole thing was done, it just made me depressed because it's like no one's gonna, even if there are victims in this, no one actually cares about the victims, man. It's just more about the entertainment dollar.
I appreciate I appreciate you calling in and telling me about this. Like my overall opinion is that I thought it was insane that this was like what social media and the internet was like focused on this past week as all
Yeah,
this
no, me
stuff
too.
was
I
happening. It was like insane. But I'm saying that, but I'm also glad you called in to tell me what's going on because I had no idea, and I think it's just good generally if you work in some sort of news or current events, you should know what everyone's talking about just so you get a feel of what's happening. To me, it was like while everything was going on in Palestine and Israel and the college protests, and I'm seeing everyone talk about Kendrick and Drake. I'm like, what's going on,
See,
man? Like,
that's see, but because, okay, listen, as crazy. Listen, I always listen. I'm not, and this is not me, like I always believe that artists that have been screwed over or been fucked with in a fundamentalist industry, right? Now, when you get your vindication, it's like you get co-signed by the right wing, and you get to expose some of the secrets, but you're not like completely. So when Kanye West has a little bit of secrecy that he kind of exposes in the industry, I can believe it, but I also believe that now he's being controlled by right wing handlers that are allowing him to speak because he mentioned. And I know people are not going to believe because it's Kendrick. He says that the reason why artists can't talk about Palestine, Israel, is because there's something in that fucking contract where you're not allowed to talk about it. Now, of course, you can dismiss that, but even Macklemore kind of alluded to it by saying in that song, "I don't care. I don't care what the punishment is. I'm not on a label, whatever, all that kind of stuff." So he kind of, in a way, alluded to the fact that like some of these artists can't. I wish he had specified that artists can't talk about it because now it comes across like Macklemore is a savior in hip hop about speaking on it when like why don't you explain that other artists are not allowed to? That's why I always say a couple of years ago when there was a Palestine Israel thing that was amping up, that same weekend Joe Budden's podcast drama was the one that was dominating social media over that. That's why I always say there's something fundamentalist going on. I know you're not conspiratorial and you don't think there's like fundamentals that control, but the thing is like the reason why it's important in this situation is because they're using social issues to also manufacture consent. Because if let's say Kendrick is also kind of a shady dude, he's also acting like a fake activist because like there's some comments that Drake made in the song where he's like you rap like you want to free the slaves. It's like why is that a bad thing? Why can't he rap to want to empower his community and speak out on like slavery and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But I think Drake's angle of it was that you're not a real activist that you claim you are, basically. You know what I mean? And people give Drake shit because when it comes to social issues, being as big as he is, he doesn't say anything either. But I think that's unfair because you don't know what some of these guys behind the fucking scenes fucking add money to or whatever. You know what I mean? Because like if there is something where you can't talk about Palestine, Israel, for example, or you can't go heavy on some social issues on certain level, then I personally believe that some of these artists under the table could be helping out. But like you don't know that for sure. But that's like one of the criticisms of Drake is that he uses the culture, but he doesn't ever uplift it in the way like he steals. Like one of the things that Kendrick said was, you're gonna come to America and you're gonna copy the heritage. Drake copies like every black culture, like whether it's Jamaican dance hall music or whatever. He always picks a style, and people think that he's just kind of a culture vulture in that. But he goes, you won't want to mimic the violence and all that kind of shit. So like that's where it kind of went basically with that. Like, yeah, you're right though. It's a shame. Like I knew when this was going on that it was gonna be. I feel bad too because I've been waiting for these guys to fucking go at it for 10 years in a competitive way and all that kind of shit. And now it just became like a gossipy, like a TMZ level fucking storylines. And now some of the older rappers who lived through Biggie and Tupac, I would assume that we would learn our lesson from what the media and bad faith actors did during that time. And because Tupac back then said he has no issue with anyone on the East Coast. It's just about two guys, Biggie and Diddy, basically, right? And the media during that time, they amplified, oh, look, this war is going on. So now it feels like even people who say they're part of the culture, like for example, the Breakfast Club, for example, they and like iHeartRadio answers to Ted Cruz's super PAC, right? So their fucking view is already like they don't challenge any fucking politician. Olay had to come on to go on that show to challenge Eric Adams. Charlemagne wasn't gonna fucking do it. So now a lot of these media outlets are gonna downplay the fucking violence that's gonna happen. I think it's rebooting a Tupac and Biggie thing, and I'm worried that there's gonna be death from all this, bro. I'm telling you right now. That's what's gonna be horrible about it. Like I don't want it to happen, but I personally believe people don't. Here's the thing: people don't believe. Oh, Drake can't be a gangster. Drake can't. But there's also been building up shit where rappers have died, and people have. Again, this is all conspiratorial, so this is not proven, right? But people have connected the dots to some of Drake's lyrics mentioned and making subliminal references to people who already got shot up. So there was a guy named Extension, where a lot of his fans think that Drake was the one that kind of paid for that to happen, whatever, right? So to people that say that Drake can't be gangster, and I'm not saying it to glorify his gangs to glorify it, but I hate this notion that people in hip hop think that being a street gangster is the most credible thing, and then you put targets on your community while the fucking real gangsters are the fundamentalists and corporate executives that are going to make a profit off of these people losing their lives. It's going to be a reboot of Biggie and Tupac. That's how messy it's going to fucking get. That's why I'm also not really happy in the happiest mood about it, because I know we're going in a regret. I feel like a party pooper because everyone's excited about this beef. I understand it. There's good music being made, and I don't begrudge anybody. I'm also a part of that. But like, I also look at the bigger. I'm looking at the bigger picture, right? So when you have old guard guys like Russell Simmons, who's also facing sexual abuse allegations from multiple women, when he comes out and says, "Oh, it's gonna get violent," people are gonna be like, "Oh, what do you know? You raped women, so we don't want to hear from you." And even though that's true, you can have that opinion. It doesn't mean that these guys in that situation are wrong about where it's gonna go. It's just to dismiss it, because once you become discredited, like the mainstream media when they badmouth Trump. No, it's uncool now to badmouth Trump because everyone in the mainstream media does it, even though they do it in a limited fucking way, if that makes sense.
Uh, I guess. I think so.
I went way too long with that rant. I'm sorry, man.
No, it's all good. I thought it was interesting. I wanted to know what was going on. I appreciate you calling in and breaking it down for me. I think you succinctly explained everything perfectly. You got a little conspiratorial at the end, but that was your own. That was your own analysis. You already gave me the big. You already broke it down for me perfectly, and you gave me a little bit of your own analysis. That was great.
So
I am gonna say I gotta move on though now, Hansi. All right.
say one more thing before I go. Before I go,
Yeah, sure.
what they called have you been following? So have you been following the wrestling shit that's been going on, or like, are you like out of the loop with like all that? Because I thought last week, even though I didn't like the Tony Khan angle, the way it shot, it looked like a porn parody of when NWO beat up Bischoff. It didn't look convincing, and I thought it looked cartoonish. Even though whatever, right? I thought last week they did a better job with Kenny Omega kind of calling the Bucks out, and then they attacked Kenny Omega while having diverticulitis, and they hospitalized Kenny Omega. I thought that angle was a lot better than the one with Tony Khan. I do think Tony Khan is going to be a Bischoff guy. He's going to join the heel side. This is going to be a way for Tony Khan to now become a heel. He's going to be
Oh,
like,
I
oh,
hope
I got
not. That'd be
no.
horrible.
I'm telling you, that's what's gonna happen, bro. Because it's did you see the beatdown? Did you think it was a very watered down version of a beatdown that you'd see with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold, or what you'd see with Bischoff in the NWO when it first started?
Yeah, I remember that.
No, I'm saying, but you think the Tony Khan version of that? Don't you think that was more of a watered down version? Like that was like a porn parody version of what NWO did to Bischoff. Like it didn't look convincing at all, really. It's like one jab into the microphone and he acts like he's dead, and then they didn't even do the move on him properly. You know what I mean? Like so. I didn't think that angle, in my personal opinion, played well. I know Shad Khan got involved. That was the best part about it. Shad Khan getting a mad look, whatever. But the Kenny Omega shit from last week, that was the really, really, really good fucking angle, basically, I thought. Again, I wanted to ask your thoughts about that before I left.
I thought the angle was good. I thought it was it helped get those guys over. I don't know about the Kenny Omega thing though. I think it would have served him better to join them, and then they could have turned on him later. It was weird for him to come back and then for them to just turn on him. No, right?
I think it's perfect for him to do it because if they have Okada, it wouldn't make sense for him to be aligned with Okada. So it may
No,
so
that's
the,
why I
because
meant they should have played up that rift in when they were on the same side, and then they could have attacked him after a bit. Do you know what I mean?
I get that, but I am looking forward to like when they told me that Okada signed with AEW and they're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna get Omega and Okada match. I'm like, do we see Okada versus Omega? You gotta do something really exciting in a feud or a storyline that's gonna get me excited for an Okada versus Omega match again. I've seen it so many times, but I am excited now about it with Omega being at odds. I do think Hangman will return because what I like about the storyline is now carrying over to like the world champion with Swerve because Swerve called them out about what they're doing, and now they're interrupting Swerve's bits. So I do think it's gonna tie in with Hangman and Swerve. So I do think Hangman is gonna join them and be a part of the heel stable, basically, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But anyways, listen, Matt. But thanks for having me on. I'm sorry for taking your time. Whatever.
No, it was a
I'm
great
gonna.
call. I appreciate it.
It was a call. Yeah, it was a call. I'll try to clip this for later on, maybe. Yeah, but thanks for having me on, bro. Peace out.
Take care. Have a great night. That was a great call, Hansi. All right, there's a bunch of people who want to call in. Drop super chats if you don't want to call in. I'll obviously get to your super chats. Thank you. Someone just gave super chat. Also, patreon.com/Matt Binder. It's been very slow on Patreon lately. I get people are having, money issues and times are tough. But if you can, patreon.com/Matt Binder. Let's take some calls. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Jess. Can you hear me?
Hi. Did you say your name was Jess?
Yeah.
Hey, Jess. How are you? What would you like to talk about?
I want to talk about Olympics. I know it's not the biggest thing, but
Wait, hold on. What
I'm
did you
in
say?
France, so
What did you say you wanted to talk about? I'm sorry, I missed that.
sorry. I want to talk about Olympics.
The Olympics?
Yep.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's talk about Is there an Olympics this year?
Yeah. It's in Paris.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right. So when
Yeah.
is the
So I live
Olympics?
in Paris, so that's why I
July.
wanted to call in and talk about it.
Yes, July 26th to August 11th. Oh, I didn't realize. So what's up? What's going on? What messed up shit has the Olympics done now?
No, it is a lot of the same thing that the FIFA has the same problem with that. Oh, all the profits go to Olympics, or FIFA in that instance, and the taxpayers hold the burden of building the stadium and the
Right. I
unemployed
never
or like
get
the.
I never get why. Listen, I know this. It's like you said, you brought FIFA up too, and this is a FIFA issue
Mhm.
too. I never get why they go to a city and they got to build all new stadiums for for these events. Like these stadiums are definitely not used for anything after. Like seriously, like Like,
Yes,
listen,
but
if you were
sorry.
building like one stadium, okay, I could see like, okay, maybe the local sports team takes it over or something. But these are like multiple facilities they build, and I know in many instances these facilities just like remain vacant and get like dilapidated and decrepit over the years because they have no use for them.
Yes, but US has the same issue with every other football team, every city's football team demanding that we need a new stadium, or else we will leave to
Oh, for no,
LA.
definitely for like the no. I agree with you for like the tax stuff and the money, but in terms of like just like the empty space, that that doesn't happen usually with
Yeah,
this. Like a sports team will get a new arena and they'll knock the old one down and put something else there. Like we don't just have like all these like empty arenas in America. That would be crazy.
I think you do. I think there is a lot of they are being now used for concerts and everything, but I think there is a lot of empty arenas in the US just sitting there not doing anything.
I'm sure that's the case in some aspects, but I know here in Queens, when the Mets got their new baseball stadium, City
Mhm.
Field, they knocked Shea Stadium down, and there's now going to be well, I forgot what they built there. I think it's just empty now, but they're going to build. They're finally starting to develop the area. There's a lot of fights over what's going to happen there. There's they some the Mets owners want to build a casino there, and there's a lot of blowback from the locals because they don't want a casino there for obvious reasons. But they are going to build a soccer stadium for our MLS team, NYCFC, and that I'm fine with because I think that's a good use of that area. Better to keep all the stadiums, all the sports areas, like instead of this is a completely non-residential area. It's like very industrial. Obviously, don't want a casino there because it's gonna obviously then bleed out and cause issues with the local neighborhoods. But another stadium next to an existing baseball stadium, I think, is fine.
Okay, that makes sense. If it's possible, then reuse the same arenas. That would be better. But yeah, that makes sense. For here, because it's just one-time Olympics, and that only happens every 4 years, anyways. Sorry, every
Right.
yeah, that happens rarely in a country, anyways. So I don't think it's a good idea. But there are protests here all the time, as this is France, so this protest all the
Where
time,
are they even
anyways.
where are they even like building it? I know we complain about how there's no there's a lack of housing in America, but
I
that's only because everyone wants to live in the cities and we have a bunch of just like undeveloped like America's got tons of space. We just don't have it developed. Whereas I know
Here
in
there's sorry. Here
I know
there's
in
an
Europe
additional issue
there's
that
you have a lot less
they
space
don't
there,
build.
right? I'm sorry. I was
Sorry.
cutting you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, there is a space issue, but there's also the additional issue that they don't like to build upwards. So there's no skyscrapers, there's no mass apartment buildings that can house hundreds of, sorry, yeah, 500 people at once. There's no nothing like that. So it's just flat, like 5, 10 uh,
Right.
floor building, and
How do
that's it.
how do they how does everyone live in Europe? I don't get it. It's so bizarre. This seems
Uh,
to be like
there's
very
the
very
the
small
public
area.
transport is great. So if as long as they improve the public transport, they can build outwards. So the Paris metropolitan area is huge, but
Right.
then the center of France is pretty small.
Right.
Yeah.
So they are where are they building this? Closer to the center
Um.
or
No, no, it is a bit further from the city. It's outside of the center. So there's the I don't remember how many advertisements are there, but there's a few districts. I think 18 or something districts over here, so it's outside of that. So it is still in the I think it's still in the Paris metropolitan area. I have to look it up again. But yeah, it is on the north of Paris. So it is a pretty non-residential area. A lot more is focused on the south and the southwest. Like the residential areas is south and southern side of the city. So it's a bit better, but because of that, the rents are rising and landlords are just hoarding their the like not renting the places out until the Olympics are over, so that during the Olympics they can rent it out for long term, and the people that have some wiggle room inside their rental agreements, the landlords are trying to get out of it just to cash in on the Olympics. So
Ah.
yeah, I arrived pretty new to Paris, to France itself, so I was having a huge trouble in trying to look for places for this year. So it was, yeah, I'm overpaying a lot for this year anyways, but it is, yeah, it was a huge struggle trying to get rent over here with the Olympics coming, and then there's also the Taylor Swift concert that's gonna come. I don't know when it is, but yeah,
The what? Oh, the Taylor. Did you say Taylor Swift?
yeah. Taylor Swift concert is coming for I think a week or so.
Ah. Hmm. What? So what is how many like constructions are they doing there? Like how many things are they building there?
I don't know. I've not visited that site yet, but there is issues with the labor. I think they're using non-unionized labor or immigrant labor that is causing issues with this.
Mm. All right. Well, definitely keep us updated. I would love to know.
Yeah, I will look up more information again, and I would love to call in. This is my first time calling in. I woke up. It's 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. over here, so I had to wake up early for
Oh,
this.
it's no. I'm glad you called in. This is your first time calling in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Please call in again. This was. I'd love to hear more about what's going on over there in France. I don't think we have any callers from France. So I know we got
Yeah,
we
that's
got
why I wanted to call in. I
we got
listen
UK
daily, but
callers. We
yeah.
got Canadian callers. We got I think we got Australian callers.
Mm.
Then we had someone calling from New Zealand every now and then. No French callers though. So thank you.
I'm not French myself, so I would love to like
Hey,
read
you're
about
in
it and then
France.
report.
You're in
Yeah.
France. You're French to me.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to keep talking about Olympics a bit more.
Oh yeah, please, please, please.
Yeah.
I thought you were done. No, go ahead. Tell me more.
Oh
I
no,
want
no,
to know.
sorry. You know that they banned Russia for this year, right?
Yes. Now they
Yeah.
they
So
ban Russia, but the athletes can still perform, which I think is fair because I don't think people should be punished
yep.
for that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So similarly, like if they're just making it a bit political and everything, do you think there's a reason why they did not ban Israel,
Well,
especially with
I
these
think
ongoing
it's
issues?
I think it's obvious. I mean,
Yeah, it's obvious, but okay. Do you think it's fair for people to be calling Israel to be banned?
I think Israel should be banned. I mean, they should be. It's ridiculous. I mean, the idea that Russia is banned and Israel is not is absurd. Now, obviously, Israeli athletes can still perform, just like, and I
Hmm.
think they should be able to perform,
Hmm.
because I don't think people should be responsible for what their government does. But the punishment is towards the country for engaging in what they engage in, and I think they absolutely should be, along with Russia. They both should be barred from competing.
I agree. But like, I don't know. For this one, it's because it's just performative. It's sports, and I don't think the yeah Olympic teams should be banned or anything like that.
Right. I mean, listen.
I
But they're not though. Like that's the thing. Like I did see.
Mhm.
I recall like there were Russian. I forgot what it was, but they were like Russian performers or athletes that were actually banned because. And I was like, that's just ridiculous. Like the idea that you would take it out on people who just
Mhm.
are citizens of a certain country or something, who have no power, no. That's ridiculous.
I don't know because it's just performative and it's just sport. I don't think the countries should be banned from being represented over there. Yes, they're doing terrible thing, but if they're sending people, if they're removing people that could have been in the military that just perform the sports and sending them for the sports, then great. No less people for the military.
Right.
Okay, and sorry, the similar to the FIFA, the student housing and the stuff like this have been are being emptied out for visitors, and a lot of people are hurting because of the Olympics issue. So
Real. Well,
many
wait. So
people have
they're
been.
that what's happening there? What are they doing to
Some
students?
of the student housings are being kicked out for the are being trying to be evicted. Sorry, many people have been evicted as well in order
Ridiculous.
to accommodate either the visitors or the athletes themselves.
That's ridiculous.
Yep. There are protests all the time because of this, because protesting Olympics. So yeah. Uh,
Wow. Yeah,
I
that's
also
that's
wanted.
another thing. Like I don't get. I just don't. Like these things really. Do they really bring that much money to these places? Like that's the thing too. Like what is the purpose? Just to say you did it? Just to say like. Just for the politicians who are in charge for when the Olympics come to act like they did something, like these things don't bring that much that much money.
I don't know. I don't
And
know if
whatever
it brings
and
that much
whatever
money
money they
either.
do bring, what so okay, there's a boost in revenue for a couple of days. Like to what? To what degree? And what's the damage that's left behind afterwards?
Yeah, but, like in John Oliver's segment about the whole FIFA, he was showing that the profit even is not that much.
Right. They should pick 4 to 5 locations around the world,
Mm.
and every other year, every other Olympics, they go to one of those locations.
I
Simple.
think the how I think they did it for the no, I don't think Olympics was it, I think FIFA was it where they hosted in sorry, I think they are planning on hosting. I don't know if this
And
happened
the
yet
Winter
on
Olympics, which
the US, Canada, and Mexico thing. Joint
the
comp
oh well, that's FIFA, right? That's FIFA. That's
Yeah, yeah,
not
that's
that's not the
FIFA. I
Olympics.
think
Yeah.
that would have been better.
Well, because I don't think they're building anything for that one. They're just
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
existing stadiums, which is good.
Yep.
That's what how it should be done. They're gonna be. I know. There's gonna be a bunch of games uh, at uh, what's it called? God, MetLife Stadium, which is where the
Perfect.
Giants play,
Yeah, yeah.
and the famous football stadium in Mexico City, I believe it is. Um, yeah,
I,
it's all.
I
It's
don't
all.
know about any of the stadiums in
I'm,
the
I'm, I'm,
US.
I'm
I'm not.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all at existing stadiums, the FIFA ones, and that's good.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's oh, this is what I was gonna say when you were. I didn't want to cut you off. The Winter Olympics are especially ridiculous because they always like not always, but a lot of times they host them in places that like come on, they're not doing winter sports there regularly. It's too hot there, and they completely gotta like create a whole like winter landscape, which it's
Mhm.
like obviously that's not gonna be there when this is gone because no one's gonna there's gonna be no upkeep for it. Just destroy an area that's never gonna be used again for that purpose.
Yeah, but an Olympic size the ice rink. How lovely would that be?
Yeah. Oh my god. Uh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Another thing about the because France is a pretty a bit more getting more right wing, and there's the whole Islamophobia that's going on. I think there was also protests that because of the burqa ban. So the I think that also applies to the Olympics over here. So that's why a bunch of athletes are either leaving or not participating, or immediately after participating leaving. Uh, because I think the burqa ban also applies to the Olympic Games. So some of the athletes that are Muslim that were supposed to participate with the burqa, with their garment, were not doing it. Were not allowed to do it.
Oh, right. Over there, they have laws against being able to wear, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
I
god.
think that it's stupid. They don't. They shouldn't be controlling the what someone should wear and everything.
Oh
They
no,
do it.
I
They say,
agree.
yeah.
I completely
No,
agree.
they
I
say
mean,
that
that's
oh, you
ridiculous.
should not be controlling what women do with their body, and then they go ahead and do this. There was
Yeah.
the whole protest and everything because of this.
Yeah, it's very Islamophobia all over the world has been uh like the one form of like acceptable racism when it comes to like how the
Yeah,
West views things. Again,
yeah,
not
and
saying that I'm not
during a
saying that like
genocide,
I'm not saying
yeah.
that other like forms of xenophobia are eradicated. No, but there's usually at least a specific political party or ideology that says this is wrong. It seems like
Mhm.
that's not the case on a broad level when it comes to Islamophobia.
Yeah, and it has been even like becoming more and more acceptable with all the backlash from pro-Palestine protests. So the people, some people are turning more and more right wing just for the just so that they can do more Islamophobia.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna. I don't know where things are going. Honestly, it's hard to tell right now. Usually, things do get better. The younger generations are generally more progressive every
Mm.
generation, but we'll see. We'll see. It's certainly, I could see how it doesn't feel that way right now, but who knows?
Yeah, that's also what I want to discuss. That because the Macron is he cannot the term limits, he cannot be uh, uh, like, be a candidate again. So the last time there was an election, the right wing was the party was the one that entered the last stage of the last two candidates that
Right.
were to be voted on. So, but it was a near miss with the leftist party. Do you know what if it will turn more leftist next year time
I
or
I
more right
don't
wing?
know enough about politics in France. I'm just
That's right.
sorry. I got no idea. I mean, I can't tell honestly. I can't even go by like how it feels here because I know it's different elsewhere. Like I know, for example,
Yep.
in Spain they have a left wing government, and it seems like things are getting more left wing there. But I don't know about France. UK, it seems like it's going in the opposite direction. Things
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, well, like what,
No,
eight
but
years ago felt like it was like
I
headed
think
in the right
there's
direction with Jeremy Corbyn, and then all of a sudden now it's like fucking. Geez, UK is just the UK is just a wasteland.
I think next year it might be a bit different because there's what three Tory parties PMs that have been uh, that have come and gone. So I think next election might be a bit more different how screwed up Tory party has done. So what's Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak and
Yeah, but
Boris
who
Johnson,
who
I
who
think.
on the left in the UK is like the Labour
Oh yeah,
Party?
but then
Yeah,
yeah, Keir Starmer is also like he's right wing
yeah,
as well.
like I mean, he's gonna be the. I mean, you might as well just
Yeah, that's true. I think he's the liberal candidate, not the leftist candidate. Even as a liberal, he's right wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Yeah, sorry. One more small thing.
yeah, sure.
I've been yeah, since I'm new here, the best way to know about the city is by going to the protests.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been seeing a bit of Tibetan protests out here.
Which
Do you know about
protests?
the Tibet?
Tibet?
Yeah, Tibet.
Really? What's been going on there? Not in
I think
Tibet, in
because
France,
she,
in France, not
yeah, yeah,
what's
no,
going on
because
in Tibet.
Xi
No, what's
Jinping
happening
came
in
here. Sorry.
France? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Xi Jinping came here for a visit to discuss policies or whatever they do. So I think that's why there was Tibet project protests
Ah,
like
okay, that
last
makes
weekend.
sense.
Yeah, they were calling the whole Winnie the Pooh and everything that was they were chanting on.
Ah,
So, and there's also people are comparing the Uyghur genocide with the Palestinian genocide. So, do you think that's a fair comparison?
the Uyghur genocide with what?
The Palestine genocide.
Hmm. I mean, I don't think it's comparable. I'm sorry. I don't think it's
Um,
comparable.
Uh, can you tell why?
Yeah, I don't think it's comparable. Cause listen, do I think there's obviously Do I think there's a genocide of the Uyghurs? I think yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's a bit different because there is a the people in Gaza are stuck in a very small area, and I think the ability that they're I mean the bombing and airstrikes and I mean there's literally no place for them to go. I don't think China is doing the same thing to the Uyghurs, are they? There's not like
Mm,
I mean,
yeah,
listen,
I mean,
they're still doing it, but like they're not. I'm not saying this to say China's doing good. I'm saying
mm,
that what's happening in Palestine is even worse.
yeah, there's no bombings and everything, but then I would say that the Uyghur is completely a part of China, no? So, um, sorry. Because of that, there's again no place to go for them either. They
Right.
can just
Anyway,
work in the capital.
the point is being made in the chat, and I agree with this too. It's not a competition. It doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
no, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
What's happening
No,
to
I was
both?
just
What's
because
happening
the
to
protests
both
were happening
people?
because yeah,
What's happening to both people is wrong, obviously.
yeah, yeah.
Um, um, I don't support either country in
Yeah.
what they're doing, obviously, to the people they are genociding. Um, yes.
Yep. Sorry. Did you see about the protest, the police crackdown on the protests on both the May Day, uh,
What?
on the Labor Day internationally? I don't think US celebrates the Labor Day on the same day, but
Oh, May Day,
or
May
yeah,
1st. Is
May
what
Day.
you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually there are big events and labor protests, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's even calls for general strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Previous years they've been bigger. I don't really think anything really happened this year
Yeah, I
because
think last year. Sorry.
all the focus from activists is on Gaza right now. Like those
Yeah,
the organizations and the
even on
activists
May
that would
Day,
usually
sorry.
take part in May Day protests,
Mm.
they were marching for Gaza.
Yeah, on even on the May Day, I saw a lot of signs and everything. Like most of those people were also picking up signs for the Palestine. So I think over here, a lot of that, like a lot of leftist causes get mixed together. So even on the trans rally, I was seeing them. They were doing the chant "Free Palestine" and everything. So I think this gets a lot more mixed together over here, because like, it's France.
Well, I
Um,
missed that last thing you said. I'm sorry.
Sorry, because it is France, so they have a habit of protesting and being political all the time, which I
Oh
love.
right, no, good, good. I think May Day protests are great. Just that here this year they really wasn't a focus
Yeah,
of
last year
activists.
because there was the whole pension reform. Because of that, there was a lot more protest. And over here now, now that it's died down after a year, even though it got passed. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry. One last thing I want to discuss. I know
Yeah,
I've taken a bit more
sure. Go
time.
ahead. I let Hansi go on forever, so I could at least. You're calling in from France. You stayed up till 4 a.m. The least I could
No, no,
do is give you
I woke
is
up
give you the
early.
same amount of time as Hansi.
No, no, I woke up early, so it's fine. I've slept enough.
Whoa, you woke up
Um,
at 4 a.m. Whoa,
yeah,
damn. So you're about to go
yeah, I
on with
wanted
your
to call
day.
it.
I thought maybe you stayed up late and you're about to get a whole night's rest, and I didn't realize you're about to end this call and
No, no.
start your
Today's
day.
yeah, today is a public holiday, so I did not have to work today, so it's fine.
Oh, okay. What's the
Yeah,
holiday?
I don't know. I'm still new here, so I don't know. Let me check 1 second. Meanwhile, I want to discuss the because sorry, it's Ascension Day. Like, it's yesterday was World War II Victory Day. Today is Ascension Day. I don't know what these are
Ah.
both for.
It's Ascension Thursday. I didn't know France uses that as a federal holiday.
Mm, I don't know. I just know I got a free vacation. That's it.
Yeah, it's one of those
Yeah,
Catholic events. One of those Catholic holidays.
yeah.
I know because my years as a Catholic.
I used to be Muslim, so I know a bit more about that culture, that holidays and everything. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Last topic. I wanted to discuss about the EU will might be asking France to do austerity because their um
Oh, austerity,
yeah.
never good.
Yeah, no, but then like the EU has the whole policy of only 3% deficits. But then France, I think, had 5 point something percent deficits. So that's why people are asking if the France's aim is 2027 to be the 3% deficit. So it might not reach all the EU goals, even with austerity next year. Uh, I know the austerity is bad, but by EU, like EU tries to not like prevent their economy from going down. Now the southern parts of EU are making profits instead of the famous northern parts.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's the rising uh, inflation rate and everything as well, just to bring the this down. But he does not really have a plan for like immediately, which I don't think immediately the deficit can go down anyways. He has
Um,
a plan, but yeah, it's a bit more right wing, and we think
right.
he did this is the reason why he did the whole increasing the retirement age and everything.
Oh,
Do
right,
you know?
right.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know why? Like, what other policy would have decreased the deficit then? Sorry, do you have any opinions on it?
Oh yeah, I mean, who cares about the deficit? I mean, it's like the these governments act like this is gonna like maybe if it's like a small and I don't know what France's standing is, but they don't seem like they're one of the itty bitty countries in the world. Like
Hmm.
in terms of I don't know, getting you know. A line of credit or something from one of the major global institutions or something. Shit like some of these countries have to worry about. But like I know in the U.S., like the whole hubbub about like the deficit and the debt ceiling and all, it's such bullshit.
Hmm.
It's bullshit. Not the United States is not going anywhere. United States line of like the United States is their ability to pay on their debt isn't suddenly down in the tubes. That's ridiculous. The whole
Hmm.
point of these countries is to spend in order to increase the ability for their people to be able to live and be taken care of, and of course for them to then generate um, uh, revenue, and it's good for the economy as a whole.
Um. Yeah. I don't know. The I've been reading a book about the whole the what's the name? Um. Scandinavian countries putting betting a lot more on their fossil fuels and everything, and then they're living like riches, and this is going to come down, and they don't. I don't know if they will have enough resources to pay back the debt later on. They have their own economy, but the economy is going down for them.
For right.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No, it was this is an interesting call. I
Sorry.
appreciate it.
What? One more topic. I know. I know. I said
All
the
right,
last
make it
topic,
quick.
but
Make it quick. Last
sorry.
one.
Yeah. There's the New Caledonia's pro-independence FLN case. I saw those protests as well. The Because I think they were part of part of France, and then they wanted to declare independence, and then there was the whole COVID. During that time, they asked for there was votes going on. There was votes that were supposed to go on, but during the whole Delta wave, they asked for the delay of the election because of the Delta wave. They did not want people to die, so France was like rejected that, and then they uh, protested the whole vote, and France won by I think 97% or so. And then France is now saying that, oh, you cannot ask for another vote, and they're asking for an ICJ to rule on it as well, so that they can ask for another vote, so that they can properly vote. Because it is a rising sentiment to declare itself independent, and there was only supposed to be three votes, and yeah.
All right.
I would love for you to look into it if
Yeah,
possible.
I'll take a look. Yeah. I don't really
Thank you
know
so much.
enough about. Yeah, I'll look into
Yeah,
that though.
yeah. I forgot about this until I looked it up. So I would love for to come in again with some more facts.
Oh yeah,
Call in
definitely.
another time. Yep.
Have a great night. I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
you calling in. It's been great.
Yeah, bye.
All right. Take care. All right, we just did 2 long calls. I'll take a. Gonna have to go forward now and say I'll take more calls, but not long ones. We gotta do like 10-minute max calls now so I can get everybody in. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? This is Charlie from Washington. Hey, I said
Hey, Charlie
mute.
from Washington. Can I pull you
Oh
up on
my
the feed?
God. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I gotta mute my headphones. They're really loud. I'm sorry. Okay.
Can I pull you up on the feed?
Yeah, please.
All right. So I was just saying that I did go along with those first 2 callers, and in order to fit everybody or as many people as I can in, I cannot go 30 minutes with every caller going forward.
Well, don't worry. I've only got like 50 topics that I know.
Okay, good. Let's do it.
Uh,
Let's knock them out. All 50. Let's do this.
so, uh, so I want to make a comment on the student thing because this is something I noticed real quick, and then I want to talk about some uh stuff that's kind of I got a pamphlet from a couple of our state reps. I think like our like not like House representatives, but like just the in-state legislator. But
Okay.
first, I want to say something really funny. So I was trying to make dinner, and I'm scrolling through my phone while I'm waiting for the oven to heat up. And More Perfect Union puts out on YouTube breaking: the Department of Justice is investigating whether Elon Musk and Tesla committed securities or wire fraud by deceiving people about how Tesla's self-driving capabilities.
I didn't see that. Where did that go out? Just today? Just now?
Yeah, that was just like a few hours ago. But I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for me to give my review of my experience of Tesla's self-driving that I had like a week or two ago for the first time.
Ooh, this is I'm
I
looking at now
got to see the
exclusive
beast
in
in action.
Tesla autopilot probe. U.S. prosecutors focused on securities wire fraud. What? Committed securities or wire fraud by misleading investors and consumers. Interesting.
Yeah.
Misleading
So,
investors and consumers about its self-driving capabilities. Ooh.
yeah, and I
They're
would like
not.
to talk about those capabilities because
I'm
I
interested.
I'm far less than impressed. In fact, the film Maximum Overdrive, but if all of the trucks that were killing people were behaving like buggy Roombas, comes to mind. So I come back to my car, right? I had parked the car to go into the store and get something. There was a Tesla, like there's a space between me and this Tesla. There's a little pole in front of him, and then there's a big old truck in front of him, and like the rest of the lot in front of all of us, like on the other half of it, was just empty, right? So I come back from the store, I get in the car, I'm buckling my seatbelt, and as I'm like getting up from that, out of the corner of my eye, I see this fucking movement, and I look over, and this Tesla's like this fucking far from my car that I just, got a loan for. And it was at that moment it occurred to me, like, if he hits me, how's the insurance going to handle this? I guess it's the company's fault, which is why they advertise is you have to have the hands on the wheel so they can shuffle it off onto the consumer. But the whole time, like this thing, all it had to do was drive around this little pole, just back out a little bit, and whoop, I could have done that. Instead, this thing is like, if you've ever seen like one of those robot toys where like it can detect the edge of a thing, but it keeps mistaking the edge of a thing, so it goes forward like an inch and then thinks about it and makes adjustment back an inch, and it just kept doing that until the guy walked over to it. Like I think he was trying to do the aren't they trying to do a feature where like you can summon it to wherever you are, so it'll come out of the parking spot and like drive to you or something like that? Or am I misremembering that?
Say this again.
The Tesla self-driving, don't they have like a feature where they're trying to get it to like drive out to where you're at, kind of like a valet?
Oh yeah. No. They want like there to be They want They want people to be able to use their Teslas as like self-driving taxis, so they could have like a side hustle where they do like generate passive income.
Yeah, it's not impressed. Like, between seeing a Cybertruck in real life and now seeing this in real life, like, that made me laugh so hard. Like, it was a laugh that I needed to, because, like, uh, I've been watching the student things go down, and I gotta say, the comment I want to make on that is it's quite a thing to watch the likes of, like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, call those students Hamas terrorists, and then immediately follow that up by saying funded by George Soros, and then the
Oh,
students
yeah.
are the anti-Semitic ones.
Right.
Like, genuinely, if you wanted to do something about anti-Semitism, do something about the officials who are, go after Elon Musk for like letting
No, what are you talking about? Elon Musk is
you know
bringing about a freedom platform. Freedom on
my
he's a modern day George Washington.
I'm just saying, I'm not hearing any of those people bitching that they can't get ChatGPT to say the word cis, even if it would avoid a nuclear apocalypse. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the freedom of speech they want to protect, and not the people, their victims. And that's infuriating to watch. And we learned about this. We watched documentaries about this. We had whole class things about this. Those student protesters of history are celebrated, and they're like, they withstood the violence. And what they never talk about in school is, like, who are the ones doing the violence? Like, all of the
Right.
ones who are like cheering on the police as they crack skulls of like kids, and saying that they hate Jews or whatever bullshit. I
Yeah.
watched the Walter Masterson thing on there, and, like, he went to a protest of the land auction of the West Bank stuff that they were doing in, I forget which state. Is that New York? Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to slander anybody.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. What was it again?
Oh, it was like an auctioning off of land from the West Bank.
Oh, that was in
Oklahoma.
New Jersey.
New Jersey, yes, thank you. Sorry about that. He was going there, and he was doing interviews with the protesters and some of the counter protesters. And when he was talking to one of the counter protesters, a guy who said that he was in the IDF and he'd just been fighting like a week before in Gaza,
Yeah.
came up to answer questions. And, like, during the course of this conversation, at one point he literally says, like, even young as 2 or 3, they all want to kill Jews and they're terrorists. Like, literally framing like that. They're not making distinctions between civilians and combatants. And to the point where now anybody who even, like, has a problem with what's going on, they're a target too. Yeah.
It's insane.
It's infuriating, Just don't
Yes.
fucking let them Part of our advantage is we have social media. Like, back then they didn't get to see what we see now. And I think, when in Vietnam, like, once footage from inside started getting out is when the tides really started to turn on all that shit. As far as, like, public opinion went,
Right.
this happened a lot fast. That's why they're banning TikTok, which is, again,
Oh, they're
infuriating.
openly saying it. They're openly saying that's why they're banning TikTok. It's like it's not even a question anymore. They're openly saying that.
Yeah, they actively said we can't control the fucking narrative. I'm like, stop, guys, just fucking stop. You
Yeah,
can't fucking lie to us anymore. Just move on.
It is it is what it is. Unfortunately, I mean, I listen. I don't know if again. I posted this on Twitter, and some people were like, unfortunately, I think you're thinking too much of the justice system. But in any case, what I said was, you got to think that TikTok, at the very least, TikTok's lawyers, their legal counsel, their legal team, has to be looking at all these politicians openly saying why they actually banned it, and they got to be saying, "Oh, this is great for our case," because they're challenging it. They're not going to let it stand. This is going to be in the courts for years, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then, but anyway, like, the last thing I want to talk about is some local stuff. So I got a couple letters from, like I said, state representatives Apparently, I've been shifted into a new district from redistricting. I'm in District 31. And they're talking about their lists of achievements and things that they're happy that they were. And those 3 initiatives that I was talking about, the one I said they were collecting signatures, and then the one I said that they passed 3 of them, the no tax thing, the parental rights thing, and the police chase restriction loosening thing. And they tout those as legislative wins. The names are, let's see, Eric Robertson and what's this other motherfucker's name? Drew Stokesbury. If they're in your district, if you're I guess if you're in my district, don't vote for these people. That I want to read you what he says about parental rights bill, and this is a thing that really fucking. This initiative will create a parents' bill of rights. It will increase the transparency and ensure that public schools share with parents any records relating to their children and instructional material. Given our stage education crisis, this will hopefully give parents their voice back in their children's education. Now, I got to ask you, what information do you think they're being withheld? Because this is he makes it a point to point out that this is it got 800,000 signatures. So this is a citizen-led thing. So what do they think the schools aren't telling them? I know what it is. I know what they're talking about. And if if that information that those parents want so bad that they think that the school's not going to give it to them, it's not the school not giving it to them. It's the kids not giving it to them. Kids don't come out to you when they see you watching Fox News and they hear all the shit about people like them that they say, and then they hear you repeat it. They learn from you you're not safe. So if you want that fucking information, the way you get it is not by cracking down on schools. The way you get it is making sure that your kids know you're a fucking safe person to be around.
Right. No, absolutely.
I want to ask this man, what resources is he going to put towards all those kids who get kicked out because they got outed by the school? What resources is he going to do for all those kids who get abused because they got outed by the school? How seriously are going to take the deaths from murder and suicide because they got out of the school? None, right? I fucking doubt that. And, for one final nail in the coffin, sorry, I'm mad now.
No, go ahead, please.
He lists a bill of shortcomings. And there's one of them in here specifically that tells you all you need to know. This one is Robertson, Eric Robertson. As a shortcoming, Senate Bill 5462 requires the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, into all new or revised state learning standards in every subject for every grade level. It also requires school districts to adopt inclusive curricula that study various groups. He lists this as a shortcoming. So this is how I do research for who I'm going to vote on. I look at the words they use. I look at the topics that they're talking about. I look at the buzzwords they use because I know what all those codes are. Right. I fucking watch how they talk to me, talk about people like me. I fucking listen. I get to hear from my coworkers how they talk about people like me because they don't know I'm one of them. And if they did, they probably wouldn't say it in front of me. That's the downside of being in the closet. Oh, before I go though, I want to say, far the hip hop thing goes, I am 100% completely an outsider. I'm paler than the ass crack of the moon, so my opinion don't mean shit. But I heard Not Like Us, pretty damn good. I can understand why people respect Kendrick. I heard Drake's response to it. The only Drake song that I'm aware of that I've ever heard, and it sounds like shit. I don't even know why people like the guy. Macklemore's song, whatever you want to say about the guy, I would probably agree, but go listen to it. It hits the mood properly. So I'll let you get to other callers because you've had a few long ones.
No, it was a great call. Thanks for the call. Have a great night. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you. Bye, bud.
Take care. The Drake song I'm most familiar with because it was a wrestler's theme song. It's like, what am I doing? That one. That's the Drake song I'm most familiar with. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from? Hello.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Dan Dito, Costa Rica, Central America. We've
Hey,
talked a
Dan.
couple
How you
times.
doing?
It's been busy. It's been busy. In
I
fact,
hear
the
you.
reason I'm calling you is because right now I'm in. Let me turn my camera on. I'm in Washington D.C.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Just today, the 54th annual uh, conference on America, or Americas, as you North Americans love to call it, has been celebrated. Amongst there, well, I had the opportunity to talk to Blanking. I had the opportunity to meet Harris. Um, Tuesday,
Wait, you were able? You talked to who?
to Anthony Blanken and your Vice President Harris.
You did.
Yeah,
Wow. What did you have
yeah.
to say to them, and what did they have to say to you?
Well, we talked about the issue of migration because Tuesday, I already had met Blanken on Tuesday again, um, because on Tuesday we were in Guatemala, following up on the Declaration of Los Angeles. This is the thing, you know, people don't have a fucking clue what's actually going on. I we I just reviewed as many big channels of United States political channels. None of them are talking of this. You know, the Kendrick Lamar and Drake situation is bullshit because there are further more important things happening than the beef between two guys
I
who may or
agree.
may not be, P3DOs type of thing. In any sense, the conversation was in regards of the migration. As I don't know if you're aware, a new president has been elected in Panama, and he is the puppet of ex-president Martinelli, who has been sentenced to jail. But he promised that he's going to close down the Darien Gap. How? Well, we're about to see on that sense. Uh, the major point I talked with Harris and Blinken was drug policy reform. We are sick and tired of not having the in-depth conversation that requires. We need to end the war on drugs, and we need to pressure the different congresses in this Western Hemisphere. Um, you know, conversation went as well as expected. The usual political response, which I'm accustomed to. I don't know if you're aware of the three tourists, two Australians and one U.S. citizen who were murdered in Baja California just recently.
I was not. No.
Surfers, that happened too. The Brazil floods that are happening, that's also into it. You know, I'm gonna be honest, Matt. I would love to have a long conversation with you and your gang. I've seen your channels, and out of them, I think are the most that have the most potential to really expand on conversations on here, the Western Hemisphere, democracy, etc. You know, but what impresses me is that we see the situation with Gaza and Palestine. Suddenly, all North Americans are extreme experts on the situation, and from either side. But in reality, and I'll be honest with you, my position is clear. I openly criticize the ethnocide that is happening by the government of Netanyahu, and in the same breath, I can criticize the corrupt actions and the lack of protection that Hamas does against the Palestinians.
Oh, of course, yeah, but I think that's obviously you could do that.
Yeah.
Hamas is, no great shakes.
And at the same time, Yes, I've studied the situation, but I am not someone from the Middle East, nor am I somebody from Israel. The main thing I can tell you is the biggest problematic of that area is their ethnical wars that have been going on for thousands of years, and that the sides that originate from a similar religious ethno religious backgrounds, their biggest problem is they have not understood how to tolerate each other, and that's their problem. But
Well,
it's
I
all
think
our problems.
I mean I think the more I mean, you could say that for a lot of different areas and regions. I think more directly, what's the issue with Israel and Palestine is that uh, Palestinians were driven from their land 75 years ago. I mean, I don't think you need to go back thousands of years for this because there was people, both Palestinian of various backgrounds, Christian, Muslim, and also Jewish people living on that land prior to 75 years ago. Not saying it
Of
was all
course,
great, not saying it was all great shakes, but that's the
the
case in a
Ottoman
lot of different
Empire,
regions.
etc.
But
But
but this issue is directly tied to what happened um
of the
in
United Nations at the end of
y-
the war,
yes.
the whole I think we mentioned that before. But coming back a little bit here to the Western Hemisphere and just concluding that point of the Israel situation, when it when it concerns us is on the matters that we have a country like the United States following that imbalance of power and enabling with that funding the ethnical cleansing that is happening against the Palestinian people. What what would freedom look like for Palestinian people? That's something that will be to them. I cross my fingers that they avoid Islamic rule because we know Islamic rules is as corrupt as anything else out there. We know Islamic rule is anti-human rights, and hopefully Palestinians can develop a democracy uh, of clear and concise um, secular uh, presentation. But
Yeah, I mean
hey,
that's the
we shall see.
that's the goal obviously.
But it's
No
not gonna
no
happen.
well,
It's not gonna happen.
I mean, we're
Islamic
already.
rule.
I mean, we are already so involved over there. What's to say we can't make sure of it? Like at this point, it's like it's not like the U.S. would be charging in and interfering on. I mean, we are already so entrenched that it would actually be. For this very specific issue, it would actually be a dereliction of what we've already done to the people there to not make sure that something better is there at the end of
Yeah,
all this.
but at the end, it's gonna be them. They are the ones who have to do it. In the United States, as well as many of the Western Hemisphere, as well as the Western European, they gotta start getting the hell out of getting themselves involved in so much BS that does not functionally concern them in how freedom is done. However, coming back here in this situation, that's the line of conversation that I was having with your VP and with Blanken and with other representatives. Hell, people don't even know, but Maria Conchita, the failed opposition presidential candidate, was in Washington D.C. just today. And Venezuela, the opposition candidate, Maria Conchita, you know who she is? The one that was inhabilitated by the judicial system in Venezuela to run for president.
No, I'm not familiar.
Another day we'll have a conversation
Right,
of what's
right.
Venezuela. But anyhow, and the point being here, I think, and just to make it short, you know, I worked on this all my adult life. This is what I've been doing all my adult life, trying to change the things. the problems that are there. But my biggest problem is when I talk to Anglo Americans, since you guys, some of you love to call us Hispanics, we're gonna start calling you Anglo Americans. The
Oh, I
Anglo
just realized you
Americans,
had your video up. Can I put you up in the feed? I'm sorry, I haven't had you on. Let me put your video up. Go ahead.
yeah, is that from the perspective of the Anglo American in the Western Hemisphere, in relation to the rest of us in the Western Hemisphere, is that many in your area are incapable of having transparency and having and taking on the baggage of responsibility of your history and the impacts of that history in itself. Um, we see it with the migration situation.
Oh, of
The mi-
course. Oh, of course. That's
yeah.
no. You're not saying anything that's gonna hurt my feelings. There's no.
No,
this is
no,
this is quite obvious. I mean,
dude.
look what was done to the Native Americans here. I mean, I think obviously we've never fully addressed it. Whereas, I mean, at least we acknowledge at this point that it happened. I mean, one of the things that's so sort of enraging to me is to see like you look at some of these photos and video of what's happening in Gaza, and it's, I mean, it looks like a 2024 Trail of Tears. I mean, it's like, how do you not see the analogous situation here? Like, it is like to me it is extremely relevant. It's impossible to not. So yes, without a doubt, Americans, the West more broadly, even have not fully. I mean, look how Germany acts with World War II and the Holocaust. They act like, what happened was, yeah, that was you, motherfuckers. Like, the idea that, like, you're looking at what's happening to the Palestinians and what happened on even October 7th, and you're like, oh, we can't have what happened at the Holocaust repeated. Yo, that was you. Who are you guys to say that shit? Like, how like no, the Palestinian people don't deserve something because of what you people did to the Jewish people. Like, that's ridiculous.
Exactly, and just to be more precise in this sense, I mean, look, it's so disappointing to see the many political pundits in the United States, because basically they don't talk anything beyond what they're. Many are extremely reactionary. For example, people don't know that there's a conflict between a Chinese state-owned company and Peru because of a megaport that's being built there on the Pacific coast. So look at this. Do you know how close that area is to the Panama, the Canal of Panama, and how that would impact the interest of the United States? That you have a Chinese-owned, state-owned company building a megaport on the Pacific coast of the Peru, on the southern, on the eastern side of that area, which you guys love to call South America. Or, for example, that the recent election of this new president is going to create worsened conditions in matters of how the migration is going to flow. Because, yes, we can agree that the passing through the Darien, I don't know if you've ever been to the Darien. I've been several times. I've walked the Darien. I know what it is to walk the Darien. I know what people have to go through. And yes, we can't continue enabling or allowing that passage. But closing it is only going to divert into other routes that are even more dangerous, especially if they take to the ocean, and especially if they take the old routes of inter-American slave trades that are still there, especially the routes that would enable the persons to go from Jamaica to Cuba to Florida. That route, that famous route, was there way back when. Or, for example, having conversations you know, um, of, the whole thing about Trump. This is the first time in modernity where a president is an ex-president of the United States is in a court of justice in the United States, and many on your side are alarmist and blah 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 blah. But here we've already sentenced so many ex-presidents, so many ex-Congress people. We've done our homework. And yes, in some occasions, like what's happening in Venezuela, it's utilized as a political weapon to then enable the one party rule. What's been happening in Venezuela. However, um, you know, I'll give you other examples, and not to keep long because I know, for example, on the meeting, this 54th annual meeting, the Conference of the America, or Americas as you guys would, uh, other assistants who I had the opportunity to converse with were people like Christopher Dodd, the deputy assistant to the uh, he's the assistant to the president and principal deputy of the national security advisor to the vice president. Um, and you had this conversation where they just want to gloss over the problem of the war on drugs and its impacts. They don't want to talk about it. And if Trump gets elected on November, we're going to go back to what it was 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, which was a new conversation with the United States, a complete and utter separation. Very few would support Trump as president. We would have a cordial relation, but we're just going to wash our hands, and the problems of migration, we're not going to deal with them. We're going to do as minimum effort as possible, and it's your problem, Trump. Go eat shit. We don't give a damn about you. But in the same way, we don't give a damn about the Democrats. The bipartisan model of the United States has taught us two things. We don't give a damn. Democrats or Republicans, to us, are just the same BS with different tones and colors, but pretty much same thing,
I hear you. Yeah.
So in that sense, right now, it's impressive. No one in the political spectrum of the United States is talking about that meeting. No one in the United States has talked about the Declaration of Los Angeles that happened 2 years ago. Everybody's focused on the past and Gaza. Yeah, I understand. There's a lot to converse on that. But if some are bitching about the money that is being sent to Israel or the money that is being sent to Ukraine, where were they when $2.2 trillion have been given to our regions to continue the war on drugs? Where were they when $700 million almost disappeared because of the all over North situation back in the Contras? This whole thing. Sorry to be. I'm perhaps I'm just frustrated on
I
so many
listen.
levels.
I listen. I hear you completely. I think. I mean, it's obvious why people are so upset about this because it's obviously a situation that I think is to the extreme of most others. But I hear you. There's the U.S. has been involved with. And this isn't just, and I know you see this a lot right now because people just like to chalk it up to, oh, USA bad. Listen, the United States of America has, there's a lot of good things about the U.S. in terms of like, the freedoms we have. No, it's cliche, but like we're not as free as we should be, obviously, but freedom of speech. Like, for example, in the UK, you say one thing slightly off and you got a lawsuit to deal with. Here, you don't have to deal with that. We have we're very lucky in that aspect. But in terms of foreign relations, foreign policy, the internet, how the United States interacts with the international community, with the global community, we have the damage we have wrought is insurmountable. It is incalculable. And this is the truth. It's just the truth.
Let me tell you the positive things about United States. And I lived in the United States. I've lived in both California and Washington D.C. and places in between. The positive things of the United States is your people. Many of your people are kind, warm.
I think you're being over. I think you're being too nice.
No. I mean, I'm not saying everybody. You have the assholes as we have our own assholes, but there is a warmth in that sense, and the experiences I've had, I've been lucky enough and privileged enough, if we can use that, to meet people who had that kindness. The other great example of the United States is that, yes, there's no doubt, and in the last 200 years, the actions of being that first fire to become independent and lit the fire of independence in the Western Hemisphere, you have it. You have it there. Of course, then it comes the whole conversation of what have you done with it for the past 245 years, in your case, and ours 200 years. The other great thing about United States is when United States quits the idea of exceptionalism and realizes they're not as exceptional, they're not the best country in the world. They're just like all of us trying to work this whole independence, this whole freedom thing out as best possible. Then it becomes a more humble approach, and we can have those in-depth conversations. United States is not the only country with freedom of speech. My country has freedom of speech.
Sure.
All these countries have freedom of speech established via constitutional norm. In fact, there are more elements to protect freedom of speech in Latin America, in the majority of Latin America, because of the Inter-American Convention on Human Rights that was signed by the majority of Latin America and was never signed by the United States, which enables us to, if we are being affected in any way on our human rights, we go through the whole internal judicial process system, suing, countersuits, etc., fighting against the government. When that, let's just say, our internal judicial system said, no, they're not violating your rights, then we take it to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. And we take all that evidence, just like what happened with the provision of in vitro fecundation here in Costa Rica. For 12 years, here in Costa Rica, based on the same ideas that anti-abortion people have, made in vitro illegal. And the people who wanted to use in vitro here did the whole process and took it to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. And what did the Inter-American Court of Human Rights said? Costa Rica violated the human rights to access in vitro fecundation to these people. And Costa Rica had to then made it legal again. And the Christians and the conservatives hated it because the arguments of the Inter-American Court of Human Rights provided us with more arguments in regards of abortion. So that's the thing. United States, you don't have that defense. If your rights are violated in the United States, you have very little recourses to defend those rights. And with the confirmation of the Supreme Court right now and in the past, very difficult to protect human rights in the United States. In fact, one of the most famous examples where your government violated systematically human rights was the McCarthy era. The persecution of the perceived communists created the conditions of McCarthy becoming worse than that of the or equal to the USSR and the persecution that USSR was doing to its own people. So there was no difference between McCarthy and USSR, none at all. They did the exact same thing. One of them persecuting communists, and the other one's persecuting what they perceived as traitors against the one party. So, point being here is, and I'm sorry it took so long.
No, it's a good call.
Um, it's so easy to bring down that, United States, we have freedoms. Yeah. So does Mexico. So does Argentina.
No,
so
absolutely. No, absolutely.
Yeah. And we try to protect it more than anybody else. We don't always succeed, but when we do, it creates a ripple. But at the end, I'm just going to conclude with this. Something that happened to me. I went into a conservative YouTube channel to try to speak my things. Not 5 minutes that they knew I was from Central America, that somebody paid on the YouTube thing, the super chats, etc. They've paid first $5 to silence me, to kick me out. That YouTube conservative kicked me out, and they were talking about the banning of TikTok and freedom of speech. When I came back after 5 minutes, I just had to say it. How interesting that you will accept $5 to silence somebody and get paid to cut somebody's freedom of speech. So your conservative movement doesn't give a damn about freedom of speech, but cares about getting paid.
Oh, of course.
Interesting. So how is that different from, for example, accounts getting banned in TikTok back on the day? Hypocrisy much. Then they paid $15 to kick me out completely. Get this N person foreigner out of here. He's not American. He's not supposed to talk.
I hear you.
And that's the thing. I'm speaking to you in English.
No, yeah.
I know your politics. I know your history, but majority of you of the United States has no fucking clue of what's our history.
Oh, of
what
course
is the
they
Western
do. No,
Hemisphere
you're absolutely
has.
right. Absolutely right. Which is why I was actually a little bit shocked that you were giving us that benefit of the doubt of us being kind and nice. No, absolutely.
Being kind, nice, and being ignorant can work in one person. That can happen. A person can be kind and nice and all stuff, and can be ignorant at the same time in many things.
Yeah.
One thing doesn't cancel the other.
Right, that's true.
But anyhow, listen.
Yeah.
I would love to. I told you before, but I've been really busy. I want to have a long show, Latin American show, history.
We should.
We had 33 nations to cover, the history of Latin America, etc., from the era of colonialism, independence to modernity. And I would like to invite your friends of the leftist media mafia, as you guys would call yourselves up, and perhaps have that more participation. I'm gonna see if I can send you an email by tomorrow. I'll get back to Central America tomorrow. Once I do that, let's open the channel and let's see where that could lead us in more in depth. As you can see, I love to talk a lot. I know a lot. I do my best to present information as best possible. And there are many conversations to be had, including what is truly a Black American, what is truly an Indigenous American, etc. All those type of conversations. Hey, thank you for having me again, Matt. I love talking to you.
Love when you call in. Have a great night.
Buenas noches. Beshko Woblaba. Walk with your eyes open.
No, it's easier to do when I don't have allergies, but I appreciate the sentiment.
I know.
Oh, whoops, lost you. Thanks for the call, though. Oh boy, I said I would take a bunch of calls today, and I got four in after doing 2 hours of show. 4 calls. Let me read the super chats. All right, I'll take one more because I've seen this person that's been trying to call in. This is the last call of the night. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Hello? It's not working.
I'm here. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
there you
I
are.
I I had to mute
You wanted to, you
YouTube
wanted to,
so I
you
don't
wanted to,
hear myself twice,
you
or
wanted
the
to mess,
audience
or
does as well.
just admit it. You wanted to mess with me. You wanted me to
Yeah,
think
why
no
not?
one was there.
No, I called in actually like a couple weeks ago. You may or may not. I can remember my accent or not, but
I think I remember you. Yeah. How you
yeah,
doing?
I called in a couple weeks ago.
What's your name again?
Valarath is what I usually go by, but you can call me Sean if you want.
All
I
right,
don't care either way.
let's do it, Sean. All right. What do
Both
you want to
works.
talk about? I will
I'm from
warn you.
Charleston, so
I will
yeah.
warn you. I know that I've went long with all these other callers.
Oh, you're good. Yep, I
I'm
know. I've been
sorry.
listening.
I won't be able to give you. I won't be able to give you 30 minutes though, because I
Oh,
won't
yeah,
make
I'm
it
not
30
worried about
minutes.
30 minutes. So yeah, yeah, I get you. You've been going on for a while, so.
So what's up? Tell me what you want to. Let's get right into it. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I know like a while ago, I think it was the caller previous to this one with the other experience with Tesla, but also, of course, as you know, Palestine is still very much in the conversation, but I'm more interested in talking about our, the current protests at various colleges here in the U.S.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, um, I think it was at Columbia. I think it was uh, when they broke into the building
Right.
to occupy that particular building.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that they complain about that because like that place was where they protested the Vietnam War. They
Right.
protested.
That's what they
yeah,
were
like
copying exactly the
yeah,
same.
it's
Right.
just what they're supposed to do. It's been done before. So, I
Right.
mean, that's just what you
Right.
do.
Right. I mean the whole idea that like college students are new to protest too. Like
Yeah, this is
this is
nothing new.
traditionally and historically where these movements usually start.
Yeah,
Why? Because college kids obviously have the least to lose at the beginning when before a movement's
yeah.
popular. They have the resources and ability to start
Mm,
something because they usually are. A lot of them are living on campus with a lot of the
yep.
same people that they will do
Yeah,
launch a movement with. I
and
mean, this
also,
is
like as you probably like know, is that that when you go to college with the amount of well, you go to college in general, you meet just all like people from all sorts of walks of life, so your empathy kind of increases because you get to
right.
experience and talk to those kind
Absolutely.
of
It's a great
um,
point. And it's why a lot
various
of
people, and that's why like people that go to college just normally they end up more left wing, uh,
right. And that's
because they're
why that
exposed to all of that culture,
right, and that's why
the cultures,
Republicans and the right,
experiences, life experiences.
right, and
They're
that's
able to
why
converse and like learn from one another. That's
right.
just what happens.
No, it's a great point, and
Um,
that's why a lot of
yeah.
conservatives and Republicans don't want people
All I
going to
know it's like
college.
in
Yeah.
Florida, they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna make a board that I'm like elect over there to tell the school what they could teach, because they know if they don't do that, they're going to lose, uh,
Right.
which statistically they're going to anyway, but just over time. Um, as the Overton window, of course, shifts over time, in terms of what's okay to talk about and what the general public typically moves with. It's, like a 30, 40 years ago, for example, the AIDS epidemic, that was like a lot of homophobia and, going on from there. And now obviously being in the alphabet mafia, as I affectionately refer to the LGBTQ
Right.
community as, it's kind of a joke where it's just like you get the gay agenda, like yep, there's a mafia behind it, obviously, yeah, just
Right.
it's a tongue-in-cheek joke.
No, I know what you're talking about. You don't have to.
Yeah,
Don't worry. You don't gotta explain it to this audience.
Yeah, you're just. I mean, you're supposed to like mock and then satirize that kind of a dialogue on the other side of the spectrum because they just I don't know they have. It's like the lack of what's it called, like a media comprehension, like how Helldivers is well, just speaking of Helldivers, but anyway, is an abject parody of the system that they want. I mean, like, it's supposed to make fun of fascism and spreading quote unquote freedom everywhere, and that's not. It's meant to make fun of it.
Right.
Starship Troopers, again, the same thing. It's supposed to make the fun of that particular type of moving forward. And that's what they kind of want anyway. But like circling back again to the college stuff again, but like the police obviously again being on the wrong side of history as they always are. Historically in the U.S. It's like it's like this generation and most of mine and the the quote unquote Zoomers, like the last couple of generations are just, I mean, they're tired of it. They're just like, there's nothing to look forward to, and this needs to change because if it doesn't, it's not going to end well. Like, college is getting more unaffordable as the years go on. The same thing with housing and so on and so forth here. Like housing prices, as you probably know, are absolutely outrageous.
Oh yes.
There was like around here about probably about an hour from me. Like 1,000 square feet, like that's not very much, right? Like for a house.
It probably is a lot here.
Oh yeah, where you live, yeah. But here it's like 1,000 square feet is like a little bigger than an apartment, like maybe. It was listed for $513,000. 1,000 square feet. That's not very much.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But then again, it is Charleston, so the prices are just crazy anyway. There's a variety of factors with that, of course, being like zoning, and not in my backyard for us, for affordable housing or apartments. It's the same. You get the same old story with that in regard. Yeah, more and more people are being priced out of owning things, which is an upward trend. I think but I would recommend a TED Talk to you and a bunch of other people as well. What's it called? Yeah, just like if at some point Google TED, like Scott Galloway. There's a very good presentation on like what's going on with how the U.S. and its policies. And
Scott Galloway, as in the guy who hosted that show with what's her face with Kara Swisher.
I don't remember. It is an older gentleman, I want to say, like a professor somewhere.
He sucks. I'm sorry.
Nah, what he was going over was just the changes and the differentials from basically the 60s, 70s, 80s to what it is now in terms of housing prices and the S&P and wages not scaling with inflation, so on and so forth there with that. I think the craziest statistic that was shown in the graphs wise was like the S&P 500, like compared to the median wealth here for like most people. It's the S&P in comparison to that has increased somewhere around 5,000%. Like against what the median income levels are. So the transfer of wealth, as you probably know, like the 2008 crash, especially so. Instead of bailing out people, of course they bailed out the banks, and they shouldn't have. They should have bailed out people. So, but and that really started sucking like money up top, like more than anything else in like recent human history. It's a second Gilded Age. Like basically we're like, oh yes, the 1920s Gilded Age again. All right, yeah, let's do it again. I mean, why not? It's 100 years. Yeah, let's do it again. But I think I'll go ahead and hop off here, so hopefully you can get someone else in, or maybe head to bed. I don't know.
No, yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night. No, this was a good call.
Yeah, I get you.
Definitely. Let's definitely pick it up.
Hopefully I'll catch you in a couple of weeks, or
yeah,
whenever
sounds
you do
good.
it again.
I will pick your call earlier so I can give you the opportunity to get me when I'm when I'm more lucid.
Mm-hmm. All right, ladies, gentlemen, imbies, and everything else in between. Thanks for listening, guys. Y'all take care of yourself, stay safe, and drink plenty of water. Heat exhaustion is not a joke.
Yes, please do. All right, take care.
Take it easy.
All right, let's no more calls. I'm shutting the Skype off. I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry, guys. Gonna read the super chats. Also, if someone would be so kind to become a patron, to make sure that the Patreon page even works, because it's been a little while, and now I'm wondering, is there something wrong with the Patreon page? All right, let me go over. Let me start reading these. Dylan Burns, thank you so much for the raid, and thank you to your viewers. A bunch of you stuck around. Great to have you on. And thanks to Venus Bloodflow over on Twitch. 10 community gift subs. Wow, thank you so much. And over on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Tokyo Hans, for gifting 5 memberships. Crewharks with a super chat. Nice haircut. Love ya, but hate your media takes. What was my media takes that you hated? Man Shovel with a super chat. Remember, friends, Drake is whack. Instead, listen to Crass and stay woke. Yes, listen to Crass instead of Drake. That's probably for the best. John Deere with a super chat. Glenn Griebwald is back in the news this weekend for fun. Google Glenn, Nazi, Matt Hale, and plot to unalive a federal judge in 2000. Jay Cass with a super chat. Hey, compadre Binder, just catching you on lunch break. Nice haircut. Now you're one step closer to looking like David Dole. Oh, no. Narrator with a super sticker. A bunch of hippos. Thank you so much, Narrator. Tokyo Hans with a membership chat. Member for 10 months. Thank you, Tokyo Hans. Matt, it is difficult to do short calls when you have created such a diverse and well-informed community. This is all your fault. It is. Wanda with a 10-month membership super chat. Great calls tonight. It's impressive to see your global reach from France, UK, New Zealand, and around the world. Thank you. Narrator with membership super chat, member for 10 months. I'm curious if you'd revisit whether you agree that the U.S. is the least moral country in the world. 2/3 of global wealth wasn't exceptionalism. Oh, I would. I don't know about least, but we certainly are not a moral country. I mean, there's a lot of really. In terms of our position in the world and how much damage we wrought, sure. I guess if that's how you want to position it, then sure, yes, I agree. Kowalski with a $10 super chat. Matt, prepare the Majority Report crew for my call tomorrow. I'm about to rip into everyone for their horrible Star Wars prequel trilogy takes. Farming is the only thing I know more about than Star Wars. Were they talking about the Star Wars prequel trilogy? On Wait, Owen Jones mentioned me? Where's this, guys? I see you guys are talking about this. When did Owen Jones mention me? Does anyone know? Where was this? Tokyo Hans with a super chat. The U.S. is exceptionally immoral. Yes. And Mike N with a super chat. Which wrestler used the Drake entrance song? The Amazing Red. Obviously not WWE, but The Amazing Red used that song. Where the fuck were y'all? That one. Where did Owen Jones mention me before I go? He mentioned me on the Majority Report? What did he say? When did he mention me? I need to know what he said and where it was. I've actually never interacted with him, really. I mean, obviously, I read his work and watch his stuff, and I've liked it and shared it. I don't think I've ever interacted with him, though. Not on purpose, just never had the opportunity. If you know where he mentioned me, I would love to see. It was on one of his videos. If you know the video, send it my way. All right, folks. He pronounced my name wrong. Oh no, it's all right. It happens. What did he call me? Mottbinder? Yeah, right. That'd be pretty funny if someone's like, "Oh, Matt, they said your name wrong." Oh, did they? What? They said Binder? No, actually, they said Binder correctly. They called you Mott. They called you Mark. I should put an accent on my name so people know. Or I should spell it like with a space. Matt Bin, capital B, space, capital D, Der. Matt Bin Der. Like how Bin Laden spelled. I think people would actually pronounce it right if I spelt it like that. How would it look? Like let me type it out so we can see what it would look like. I'm gonna put it in the chat so you guys can get a real just like that. Can't mess that up. Matt Bin Der. Oh yeah, he didn't capitalize the B, right? Bin Laden. So it'd be Matt. It would be Matt Bin. I like how that looks. That's how I should spell it. That's how I should spell it. All right, folks. I gotta find out if you know the video, send it my way, please. And if you could certainly test out the Patreon. Seriously, no Patreon patrons. I don't get it. This is weird. Either and people are. It's not like people are sending me Twitch. People are sending me YouTube chats, memberships. I don't get it. People hate Patreon now. At first, I was like, oh, people are just not, it's hard times. I don't think there's something wrong with Patreon. All right, folks. Who should I rate on Twitch? Conure is on right now. Haven't rated Conure in a while. So I'll rate Conure. Wait, what's what a show? What's what a show? What is that? What a show. Should I raid What a Show? Adrian says more Scam Economy, please. Yes, I miss doing Scam Economy. I will do Scam Economy soon. All right, I don't think I've ever rated What a Show before. I will raid What a Show. Why not? Something new, something different. Are they